Hi everyone, welcome to episode 34 of Sketch Support. If you are new here, Sketch Support is all about showing how to adapt and customize a scrapbook sketch to better fit your needs. This month I have a new free one-page sketch that you can download at Scrapbook Generation, and I'll link to it in the video description down below. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 layouts that I've created all from that same sketch, with each layout looking completely different. Now, before I jump into that, first I wanted to mention that I do have an ebook called Creating with Sketches that takes a deep dive into all of the ways and methods you can use to adapt sketches to work better for you. In this series, sometimes it's hard to cover every single way you can adapt a particular sketch, and that's where the Creating with Sketches ebook can be a really useful tool. It's like I've taken every way possible and put it together in one book so you can really take advantage of the versatility of scrapbook sketches. I've also got a huge stock of downloadable sketches at Scrapbook Generation that you can check out, and I added several new ones a few weeks ago, so I'll link to all of those as well. So let's go ahead and kick off this video with a look at the one-page sketch that I've used for inspiration for the 3 layouts I'm going to share in this video. This sketch features a background design made up of layered scallop strips with this large piece that goes to the top with a scallop edge along the bottom. Then there are 2 vertical photos arranged on the left with some flower clusters framing them. And what I liked about this design is that these scallop strips layered together can be reproduced with so many different ideas. You can go with a different decorative edge like chevron or torn or rolled or fringe, or you can swap them out for a themed detail like waves. You could also play around with different shapes to build a detailed design in place of those scallops, like squares, circles, hexagons, or strips. And another fun idea would be to create a large cluster design in this area. Now, when it comes to the photos, there are so many options you can do with this design. There's so much open space here to add more photos or use a larger photo if you wanted. There's really nothing here that limits the photos you can use or take away. With my first layout, I made some small changes to the design to work with the ideas I had swimming in my brain. The way my brain works, and it most likely has to do with the fact that I'm obsessed with creating water-themed layouts. So I saw waves instead of scallops, so naturally that was the first thing I wanted to do with this sketch design. For the main background paper, I used a pattern paper with a wave design, and then I cut out 10 different strips from different pattern papers, and then used a circle punch to make the wave design along the top of each strip. And this is one of my favorite ways to make wave strips without needing a die cutting machine. So to do this, you just punch half circles along one edge of your strip. It's so easy, and the strips are so fun to use on water layouts. I layered the strips together just like on the sketch, and then I added a hand-stitched border to really make that wave design stand out. I will always do this when I layer strips together, just to really define that edge. So I did end up using more strips than the sketch, but really there's a lot of room to adjust that layered scallop design to the amount or size of design you want. You could even take this all the way to the top. I felt like this was a really fun part of the sketch to play around with and customize to different designs or shapes or themes. For my photos, I had three 3.5 by 2.5 inch photos, and since they are horizontal and quite different from the photos on the sketch, I had to come up with something different. So I chose to arrange them in a strip on a small white mat and then adhered them on the layout in a similar placement as the photos on the sketch. There's really a lot of room with this sketch design to work in or take out the photos you need. For my embellishments, I created 2 clusters that frame opposite corners of the photos. And I used a variety of beach and summer themed elements and arranged my title into the design as well. I've got some elements that are tucked under the photos and then some that are adhered on top of the photos. For my second layout, I made some big changes to the sketch to work better with my photo and my theme. I kept looking at the sketch and thinking that it might be kind of cool to create some sort of cluster detail in place of the layered scallop design. And when I came across this picture, it just screamed bubble cluster at me. So this was definitely a concept that I wanted to play around with this sketch design and this photo. I first found the dotted pattern paper and thought it was perfect for a bubble themed layout. It's actually from a birthday collection, but I thought the colors were bright and fun and would be a good match to the mood of the story and the photo. And then I picked out cardstock colors that matched that pattern paper and used my silhouette to cut out a variety of bubbles in different sizes. I also added a hand-stitched border on each bubble to really highlight the shape and ensure that they stood out from each other. Anytime I create a large cluster of elements, especially when they're all the same simple shape, a hand-stitch border is always something I will add. It's the perfect technique to give definition and texture and a little dimension to those pieces. Now, a little experimental touch I added was to use Nuvo jewel drops in coordinating colors for the little shiny openings in the die cut. And in my opinion, it looks so much better in person. You can really see the translucent and shiny detail in that spot on the bubble. And I don't know if this part turned out exactly the way I envisioned, but it's just kind of one of those things where it is what it is. It turned out a little messier than I was hoping, but I can live with it. At first, I was just going to use my favorite color of Nuvo Jewel Drop in Sea Breeze, but then I realized I actually had a color of Nuvo Jewel Drops that matched every color of these die cut pieces that I used, so I color coordinated those details. And it was one of those times that it really did pay off that I ended up buying every single color of a specific product. For my photo, I only had one 6x3 photo, and I have no idea why when I printed this photo, I printed it in that size. Sometimes I get ideas and I don't write them down and then forget what my plan was. And I generally know that I'm going to forget, but I always figure that I'll find a way to make it work, so I don't stress over it too much. And in this case, it worked out for this layout and sketch just fine. I did flip the sketch to work better with the direction Jackson is facing in the photo, but that's always an easy solution. The last details I added were the acrylic stars and some word and phrase stickers. I just wanted to add a little more detail and interest to the whole layout, and these were an easy option. And I have to tell you all, I've had this photo printed and sitting on my table for a very, very long time because it's one of my favorite photos and story. I think sometimes I tend to kind of wait when I feel like I've got a super special story that I just want the layout to be perfect and I'm waiting for that perfect opportunity. And this sketch and idea just happened to come together for me with this photo and this story, what I wanted to portray with that. So my kids were staying at their grandma's for a few days in the summer, and my mom is a frequent Facebook poster. And one day I was scrolling and saw this picture with the caption, "Pretty sure we all know the answer to, did you put some more bubble stuff in the tub while I was gone?" And I instantly saved the photo and caption because I knew it would be a memory I didn't want to forget. So I was really happy to finally have the chance and the right design to come together for this photo and story. And that caption is actually what I used for my journaling. So it was just kind of a really fun and satisfying layout to put together. The last layout of Sketch Support always shows how you can adapt the sketch to work for a different size of layout. I always say, never let the size of the sketch determine the size of your layout. You can always adapt and stretch or shrink or enlarge a design to work for any project you want. Since this month we're working with a one-page sketch, I adapted the design to work for a two-page layout. And I was actually able to stay quite close to the original sketch design with this layout. First, I stretched the design across both pages while also swapping out the scallop strips for zigzag strips. I was back and forth a lot if I wanted to do the scallop strips or not, but eventually settled on the zigzag strips instead. So I started off with the black and white star background and then arranged the zigzag strips along the bottom, just like the layered scallop strips. And then I added some high contrast stitching detail by using black embroidery floss. I always love the look of black paired with bright colors, so I thought this was a really great way to highlight that zigzag design. I've got one 4x6 photo on the left page that follows the sketch placement, and then the rest of my photos are arranged in a row and they are actually tucked into that zigzag design. For my embellishments, I mostly used these large flower frame die cut pieces, and then I added some chipboard emojis to the center. The title piece I used has several flowers on it, so I felt like adding more into the layout design would be a good way to tie it all together. And then to finish the design, I added some word and phrase stickers, some tickets, and some acrylic stars. I also added a pair of glasses to one of the emoji pieces since Jackson has glasses on in the pictures. And this layout came together really fast, aside from that stitching detail. So that's it for this episode of Sketch Support. If you enjoy creating with sketches, I invite you to come over to the Creating with Sketches Facebook group. We've got a community there along with over 100 photo albums and sketches that you can play along with. We also do monthly challenges and giveaways, and the one for June will start today. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.